When the man stepped into the quiet convenience store that night, nothing seemed unusual until the security camera captured something no one could explain. The cashier remembered hearing the bell on the door, but no footsteps followed, and the man never appeared on any other camera inside the store. Minutes later, the lights flickered, a shelf collapsed on its own, and the man's wallet was found neatly placed on the counter, but he was gone. This story begins with the footage investigators tried to dismiss, the one recording that forced them to reopen the case and rethink everything they believed about what happened inside that store. The rain had just begun when David Mercer pushed open the glass door of Harper's convenience store. The neon sign flickered above him, casting red and blue shadows across his tired face as he stepped inside. He looked like any other customer, hands in pockets, collar up, shoulders tense from the cold. But the camera above the entrance caught something else, the slight tremor in his jaw, the restless scan of his eyes, the way he kept checking behind him as though someone had followed him in. The store was quiet, too quiet for 9:40 p.m. Only one cashier was on duty, Angela, a college student finishing her last shift before finals week. She barely looked up from her phone when the door chimed. David hesitated, staring at the candy aisle, then at the refrigerators, then at the counter. He didn't pick anything up. He didn't walk with purpose. He just drifted, pausing every few seconds like he was listening for instructions nobody else could hear. Outside, a black SUV slowed as it passed the store. The camera caught David noticing it through the window. A moment of panic flashed in his eyes, and he ducked behind a shelf. Angela didn't see it, she was busy texting. The SUV continued down the road, but David didn't relax. His breathing grew heavier as he slipped deeper into the store's back aisles. Security footage showed him pulling out his phone, staring at a message on the screen. "If you go home, they'll find you. Stay somewhere public." The message was unsent, like he had typed it and never built enough courage to send it. He deleted it. Then he typed another, "Don't call the police." Please, but he deleted that one too. Angela finally noticed him pacing. "Sir, do you need help?" she called out. David froze. He opened his mouth to answer but shut it again quickly. He shook his head and wandered to the back of the store. The camera tracked his every movement, his hand brushing against the metal shelves, his eyes darting at the emergency exit door. At 9:44 p.m., a loud crack of thunder shook the building, and the power flickered for exactly 3 seconds. When the lights came back, David was standing near the storage room door, breathing like he'd just run a mile. Angela frowned. "Sir, customers aren't allowed back there," she said, stepping toward him. But David didn't move. He stared at the door like something or someone was behind it. At 9:45 p.m., the footage captured Angela moving closer. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked again. The door behind David creaked open. David turned sharply, eyes wide. Angela gasped. The camera caught the exact moment David stepped through the door on someone's whispered instruction, as though he recognized the voice on the other side. Then the door slammed shut. Angela rushed forward, pushing the door open, but the storage room was empty. No David. No footsteps. No sound. Just rows of boxes and a single swinging light bulb. He had entered the store. He had walked through that door. But not a single camera caught him walking out. Not then. Not ever. The detectives replayed the security footage, watching the man walk casually through the aisles. Nothing about his body language suggested fear or trouble. He paused near the refrigerator section, staring inside for a few seconds longer than normal. The camera caught him glancing over his shoulder, almost like someone was already watching him. The store clerk remembered him holding a bottle of water but never bringing it to the counter. It was as if he changed his mind at the last second. A customer behind him saw him check his phone quickly. She recalled a worried look crossing his face before he disappeared toward the back of the store. The detectives noticed he avoided the store's main exit instead. He drifted toward the employee-only hallway. The clerk insisted they kept that door locked at all times, but the footage clearly showed the door slightly open before the man approached. The detectives zoomed in on the timestamp. It wasn't the man who opened it, someone else pushed it ajar from the inside. The inside camera in the hallway didn't work. That alone turned the incident from unusual to suspicious. Detective Harris walked into the hallway himself and felt immediately uneasy. The area was too narrow, too dark, and far too silent for a public building. The floor scuff marks matched the shoes the missing man wore. It was the only physical sign of him anywhere in the store. The building's blueprint showed an emergency stairwell just beyond the hallway. According to the owner, no customer or stranger should have been able to access that area. When investigators reached the stairwell door, they found fresh fingerprints. But they didn't match the missing man's prints at all. The stairwell led down to a basement storage room. The place smelled of damp concrete and something metallic. Dust covered every corner except one. A clear set of footprints ran straight toward an old wooden door. Behind that door, investigators found a small maintenance room. Something in the air felt disturbed, like someone had been there recently. A toolbox lay open on the ground. A pair of gloves were missing from the top tray. Detectives noticed scrape marks on the floor, like something heavy had been dragged. But nothing inside the room looked out of place. Then they found the phone. It belonged to the missing man and it was still recording. The video showed the man whispering that someone was following him inside the store. His breathing was shaky and his eyes kept darting to the dark corners of the basement. Just before the footage ended, the man looked up at something behind the camera. His face changed from fear to shock, and then the video cut to black. The detectives exchanged a look of dread. Whatever happened to him, it happened right there in the dark. They checked the time on the recording. It was filmed only 3 minutes after he walked into the hallway. Someone moved fast. Someone knew the cameras well. And someone used the basement as a trap. The case was no longer a missing person investigation. It had officially become something much worse. The police sealed off the store and began interviewing every employee. Each one denied knowing anything about the basement incident. Detectives ran background checks on everyone working the night shift. One employee in particular raised eyebrows: Mark Keller. Mark had been working there for only 2 months. His previous employment record had several unexplained gaps. Security footage caught Mark standing near the back hallway minutes before the man vanished. He seemed nervous, constantly checking the time. When questioned, Mark claimed he was on a break. But the break room camera showed he never entered. Detective Harris asked him about the broken hallway camera. Mark said it stopped working randomly. The store owner admitted Mark was the only one with keys to the maintenance room. Suddenly, his connection to the basement seemed too strong to ignore. Mark's hands shook visibly during interrogation. He claimed he opened the basement to fix a leak earlier that evening. But the leak never existed. Maintenance records showed no reported issues that night. The detectives obtained a warrant to search his locker. Inside, they found a second pair of gloves identical to the missing ones from the toolbox. They also found a flashlight with dried mud on it. The same mud found in the basement footprints. Mark insisted he had nothing to do with the disappearance. He said someone else had used his keys without permission. But the store's key log system proved otherwise. Mark's keycard was used to open the hallway door exactly 1 minute before the victim walked toward it. Detectives searched Mark's apartment. It was surprisingly empty for someone who claimed he'd lived there for months. The neighbors described him as quiet and strange. No one remembered ever seeing him leave for work. Then the investigation took an unexpected turn. A woman came forward, claiming Mark had followed her in the same store 2 weeks earlier. She described how he watched her every move. She mentioned the same uneasy feeling the missing man had expressed. Detectives began suspecting their pattern. If Mark was involved, this might not have been his first attempt. Still, they had no evidence of a struggle. No signs of a body. No certainty the man was even dead. But then they found a new clue. The store's analog backup system, a hidden camera Mark didn't know existed. The footage showed a shadowy figure pulling the missing man into the basement. The man struggled, but he was overpowered quickly. The figure wore gloves and a mask. But his build, height, and posture matched Mark's perfectly. When detectives returned to arrest him, Mark was gone. His apartment door was wide open. A note sat on the kitchen counter. It read only one chilling sentence: "I didn't want it to happen again." Now, the case wasn't just about a missing man. It was about stopping someone who had just vanished into the night. A citywide manhunt began immediately. Mark's face appeared on every local broadcast. Detectives analyzed the basement footage frame by frame, one small detail caught there. Attention, Mark wasn't alone in one shot. Another shadow moved behind him. Someone else was down there too, the detectives suddenly realized. The case wasn't about one man. It was about two people working together. The second figure was shorter, quicker, and seemed more confident navigating the darkness. It looked almost rehearsed. A tip came in from a delivery driver who recognized Mark's photo. He claimed Mark often visited an abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. Police units rushed to the location. The warehouse was silent, except for the wind rattling loose metal sheets. Inside, they found a small setup, mattresses, canned food, and a map of the city. Circles marked several stores identical to the one where the man disappeared. It was clear now Mark and the unknown accomplice were scouting multiple locations. This wasn't a random crime. Detectives followed footprints to a locked room inside the warehouse. Breaking it open, they found something horrifying. The missing man was there, alive but barely conscious. He was tied to a chair and weak, but breathing. His first words were a whisper. There were two of them. Before they could get more information, a sound echoed through the warehouse. Someone else was inside. Officers swept the area, but the second suspect escaped through a back exit. Only a shoe print and a torn sleeve remained. The rescued man was rushed to the hospital. Doctors confirmed he would survive. Detectives asked him again what he saw. He described the second figure as calm. He said the second suspect told Mark what to do. They were partners, but Mark wasn't the leader. The truth was far bigger than they imagined. A coordinated abduction pair was operating in the city. Mark was still missing, and the mastermind was still free. The case shifted again from rescue to hunting a duo of predators. The department doubled manpower. Immediately, Detective Harris studied the torn sleeve. It came from a uniformed security. Not retail, someone with training, someone who knew blind spots. The investigation wasn't close to ending. It had just crossed into something darker. The missing man's survival gave hope, but it also confirmed the city had more victims waiting. And someone out there was planning the next move in the end. The silence inside the store felt heavier than the truth anyone was prepared to accept. The investigators replayed the footage again and again, hoping the camera might reveal something they missed, but every frame only reminded them of the same chilling fact: he walked in alone. And yet somehow, without anyone noticing, he disappeared as if the walls swallowed him, the aisles stood still, the lights flickered faintly. And the door never opened for him again. Outside, the world carried on like nothing had happened, cars passing, people laughing, the night moving forward while one family's entire reality froze in fear. His mother kept calling his phone even though she knew no one would answer, hoping the ring might magically connect her to the son who vanished somewhere between aisle 3 and the back storage corridor. His father sat quietly on the stairs at home, staring at the front door, imagining it opening, and hearing his son say, "I'm back," but it never did. Weeks turned to months, and the store eventually reopened, but the employees still avoided that one corner captured on camera where he paused before fading out of sight. Some said they felt a strange coldness when they walked past it, others heard faint footsteps late at night when the shutters were already down. The case file remained open, thick with unanswered questions, theories, and witness statements that contradicted each other. But one thing never faded: the haunting final frame of the surveillance footage where his reflection still appeared in the glass freezer door, even though he was no longer standing there. It became a reminder of how quickly a normal night can turn into a nightmare, how a simple errand can become a story no one can ever explain. And now, as you reach the end of this story, remember that mysteries like this aren't just tales, they are real families, real pain, real lives that shift in a single moment. If you want more stories that uncover the darkest twists, the most shocking disappearances, and the true events that keep investigators awake at night, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you never miss the next chapter, because every week we dive deeper into the cases that others are too afraid to talk about. Your support keeps these stories alive, and it helps us bring you the truth behind the moments that changed everything forever.